What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully you've checked out yesterday's video, Monday's video, and Sunday's video. This week's been quite strong in terms of delivery. So yeah, let's dive straight into things. So we're here on the day, on the 4 hour. We are going to go up to the daily, and you'll see we've had some very fascinating delivery of price. So you can see our price has given us quite a interesting day. We traded lower straight into this 4 hour gap, which I drew our attention to. This volume imbalance came down into that, and then as soon as we traded into that, prices came back inside of the range. Now if you watch yesterday's video, that's pretty much exactly what I anticipated. I anticipated that would come down here, and then I was saying how I doubt that price is going to want to carry on running. It's probably going to want to stay range bound because of this bullish order block right here, these three down close candles, and you can see how that's happened. We've came back inside the range, so we're probably going to remain within this range for the rest of the week now, moving into Thursday and Friday. So pretty typical in terms of price action, but it's nice to see us trade down. This is the bullish order block. You'll see how we pretty much traded to the 50% level off that, and I'll show you. See that 50% level? Voila, right there, absolutely gorgeous. And we're also respecting this level right here, which I believe is a weekly PD array. I need to start marking these things out, guys. It's the 50% level off this wick, and I was saying how I anticipated price to come down to that, and you can see how prices gave us that respect today on Wednesday. So yeah, very nice price action. I am happy with it. And like I said, we're now back inside the range. We ran out these bearish order blocks, suggesting that we are bullish again, as in price may want to continue to trade inside the range. So let's take a look at this high. Take a look at this low, and you can see we came back up to the 50% level. So now it's a matter of us seeing if we can trade up into the 75% level if price does want to continue higher. But let's take a look at the hourly for a better look. So here you can see the bullish order block, which has now formed. As soon as we took out this high, that then enables this to be a bullish order block, these three down close candles. And I'm also looking at this range here, but it's very interesting to see our price completely turned inside of this gap. So I'm going to get rid of a few things just because it's a bit messy. We've now come below the Sunday opening price to create some kind of low, and I do think we are probably going to stay, like I said, quite range bound moving into Thursday. So I'm not anticipating too much price action. We do have PPI tomorrow, so I am expecting some kind of expansion. And the way that they've moved price this week, so let's take a look. Monday they pushed it right to the top, creating a high, and then they dropped it straight, creating a low. So we're obviously in this range, but the way that they're whipping price around is, you know, to take out both sides of the market clearly. Now I do have a bullish bias on dollar right now, because if you remember, I did want to see us trade up into this range, and we failed to do that here on Monday. So the fact that we failed to do it on Monday does mean there's potential for price to attempt to try and reach it tomorrow. But like I said, the way that they've whipped price back and forth all week, running right into Thursday, it's made it very low probability. So if we are going to be trading PPI, it's probably best just to stay safe and be very cautious. But nonetheless, let's take a look at the consolidations. So here's a point of consolidation right here. Drag that through, and you can see this is why it's so important to recognize these parts, because here we have the same consolidation. And then I'm also looking at this consolidation, and ideally price doesn't drop back below this consolidation. So ideally the lowest I'd want to see price trades moving into tomorrow is going to be this high right here, which we already have a level marked out. So moving into tomorrow, this will be the lowest I'd want to see price trade. So long as price manages to respect that, I'm happy to be bullish with the expectation that price is going to start looking for that Tuesday high and potentially the Monday high moving into Friday or the later hours of tomorrow. So yeah, I am pretty much biased in terms of being I am biased to being bullish, but I'm just going to be very cautious in terms of trading in general. We do technically have a breaker. We've got a low, a high, a low, and we've had expansion. So that means, again, these up close candles should be able to provide us support. So I'm just going to draw this range out just so that we know where it is. I'm going to get rid of a few more things just because I want to clean the charts up. I'm going to get rid of this, and then this is the range which I'm going to be paying attention to moving into tomorrow as to where I'd want to see price be able to expand from. It is quite shallow in terms of we're pretty much already there, so that does make it difficult, and you know, price could easily bypass that, and ideally it doesn't. But if it does manage to stay above there, that is going to be very indicative that price will likely start running for these highs, and then we can comfortably look for those Tuesday highs to get run as well. So yeah, very complicated at this point, but nice delivery today nonetheless. And yeah, let's go take a look at GBP USD. And would you look at that? Again, hopefully you watched yesterday's video and I was calling out this level, this 25% level being traded to, and we traded exactly to it, and this is where we've got a strong response from it. Now obviously if we're expecting a continuation to the upside on dollar, that means we do want to see if GBP can drop a little bit lower. So let's start on the 4 hour, take a closer look. And you can see we're inside of this massive range. So this is a bullish, technically it should be a bullish fair value gap, and the reason for that is because we traded on the downside, closed on the upside, and now we're back inside of it again. But the way that we've approached this 25% level so aggressively too, I wouldn't be surprised if it gave way. So moving into the next day, I wouldn't be surprised if we started looking for that 50% level as a target, whilst dollar ideally can continue to rally on higher, where we have a beautiful fair value gap in the premium to potentially trade to. So these are what I have my eyes set on. But let's go back to GBP. So it'd be nice to see if this 50% level can now get traded to. Let's go to the 1 hour. But it is, I do highly suggest, guys, you study the way price has stopped at this 25% level. There was a reason I brought our attention to it, and it's because of times like this. Look, we've traded right down to this level, and now all of a sudden we've found resistance. You can't make that up. It's clearly algorithmic to some kind of extent. So why is it stopping there? Well, again, very high impact news tomorrow with PPI. They're probably going to use this as a level where they want to retrace price, build in more orders so that they can ideally, you know, in line with my bias, send price lower. So the highest again tomorrow, I'd want to see price trade. This is a consolidation I brought attention to yesterday. Now that we're back below it, I'm happy for price to rally back inside of it, but on the back of it, I'd like to think that we can expand and start looking for this 50% level, which is also coupled with this bullish order block on the 1 hour as well. So not expecting too much movement, but ideally I'd like to see the high get created in maybe London or something, and then I'd want to start thinking about that Wednesday low getting taken, and then 50% level. So let's go to the 15-minute. Again, beautiful delivery, and now we're just in that consolidation. We have a nice bearish order block within this range. If we fail to trade to this fair value gap between this low and this high, that's even more indicative of lower price action, because it's showing weakness in pound, which is what we want to see if we are going to see that 50% level get traded to and any lower. So I hope that all makes sense. But yeah, this is a consolidation which I drew our attention to yesterday, so definitely something to study there. And it's still going to be relevant because we anticipate that smart money should use it as a distribution point, and so should we. So we're going to finish up on Euro USD. Same thing happened. I was talking about the 25% level of this range, however, and price came after tapping into this low from earlier this week. Price traded quite nicely down, hitting that 25% level, and now it came off of it. So again, what I'm expecting is some kind of Judas swing. I'm happy for price to return back inside the range, but then later in the week, moving into Wednesday and Thursday, I'm anticipating that price will continue to drop. We have some nice lows below here to potentially trade into, and below here as well, in line with dollar. Ideally, again, finding some kind of support within this range. More so, we can look at the trading range between this low and this high. I don't really want to call this high a high yet, just because, you know, we've still got the whole Asia session and they can keep pushing price. But if that is a significant swing high, 50% level would be the maximum. Any lower than that, I'm not getting involved whatsoever. 25% level would be sweet and very indicative of bullish price action. And then in line with that euro, we're not anticipating much rallying. We'd want to see it start to struggle as it trades higher, very high resistance. And then I'm looking for this low specifically as a target for the south side, because that's the one that stands out. And like I said, with the high impact news though, you know, there's only so much predictions you can do. And then another thing to take note of is this range, which we're looking at anyway, with the 25% level marked out, which we traded to today. We can also look at the 75% level, which is about here, which would be a nice point where we can anticipate a potential high to be made tomorrow, which is also happens to be coupled with a fair value gap. So I do have my eyes set on here as well as a potential high for tomorrow. So depending on the time in which we trade into that, if it does manage to get up there, then that might be a nice setup for us. But again, it all depends on whether dollar's behaving inside of the range which we've given it. Because if dollar trades through this range and it starts looking extremely weak, I don't want to get involved, because that's too much consolidation as in back and forth price action, which I just don't want to get involved in. But the way that price attacked these relative equal lows, just as we called yesterday, on Wednesday, and then has come off of it so aggressively and is running back into the buy side, it's given me confidence that there's potential for us to eventually get to our original target. Because if you remember watching me earlier this week, I was saying how I wanted to see us trade up here, and then Tuesday traded lower because I anticipated us to trade it there on Tuesday. The fact that we failed to do that on Tuesday, there's reason for us to maybe pull back later in the week to get up there, especially the way it's attacked these lows and got back above that Sunday opening price. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow, so make sure to stay tuned. Drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, turn on post notifications. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.